Hi everyone, Blonthany Blondtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the latest LP, It's Album Time, from Todd Terje? Is it Terje?
Terje.
Terje.
Tangent.
Targe.
Turtle.
No, it's definitely not Turtle. That's on your head.
No way.
Yes way. Todd here is a Norwegian DJ producer that's been pretty active for over a decade now, performing and working with other artists to write, produce, and collaborate among some of these people being Robbie Williams, Franz Ferdinand, Lindstrom, and this is a long time to be active and not have a major commercial full-length release out. Although Todd has kept a somewhat steady stream of singles and EPs, one of which came out last year and did receive a pretty warm reception, but I think Todd is still acknowledging that it's been a long time just with the album title of this thing itself. It's album time. He's taken time to sit down and concentrate on his own stuff. And in the process, he produces an hour of it. Songs on this track ranging from jazz to synth funk, new disco, electro disco, house. It's a strong, muscular dance music record that has a bit of a vintage flair that I think you might find similar to the new Daft Punk LP, Random Access Memories. But I don't know how you can look at this record and not expect at least some kind of a nod to the past. Just look at the cover of this thing. Just looking at this cover, I feel like I'm in for a really cheesy lounge jazz album where somewhere in the track list there is a cover of Luck Be a Lady. However, instrumental jazz with a lot of zazz is on this record, but we will kind of get into that later. Again, like the new Daft Punk album, a lot of what seems to be going on with this LP is reclamation. Reclamation of these styles of music that us as a younger generation have kind of looked back upon and decided are old and corny. Or maybe this whole revivalism thing for Todd is a bit more personal. Todd could just simply be dabbling in these older music styles because they have a really strong sentimental value to him. I mean, the song Johnny and Mary does feature Roxy Music's Bryan Ferry. And even though the track Swing Star Parts 1 and 2 don't feature a biographical narrative from Giorgio, I would say these songs are just about as indebted to him with their exotic, sunny, ocean spray electro-disco grooves. Either that or like Tangerine Dream with all the bouncing synth sequences layered over one another. These new disco, electro-disco sounds have been seeing quite a comeback lately. But this genre has had its share of singles and notable releases in the 2000s with artists like Sally Shapiro or Lindstrom or even Chromeo kind of dabbling in this stuff on their earlier stuff. I would say even Kylie Minogue and Madonna have put out records that dabbled in this stuff too. But Ram really opened up the door for this kind of music to be taken more seriously from a critical perspective, from a conceptual perspective. And I would say that Todd has taken full advantage of every doorway Ram has opened. He not only recreates these genres that he's emulating with an extreme attention to detail, but he also approaches some of them with some really great compositional ambition too. And while he does this, for the most part, he kind of sticks to what he knows, producing, fine-tuning dance grooves like the DJ that he is. Not so much forming them into concise chart-topping pop tunes, though. This is a role that he doesn't really try to shove himself into until the Bryan Ferry track pops up on this thing. Well, no, I wouldn't say he was trying to write like a Get Lucky on that track or anything like that, but the song is of a different mood, of a different style than any other track on here, merely because it does kind of have a verse-chorus-verse thing going on. It does feature vocals. However, despite this kind of exciting collaboration idea and a change of pace on this record, this is an incredible snoozer of a song in the middle of this track list. Lyrically, melodically, and structurally, this track is uninteresting from start to finish. Even Bryan Ferry's whisper, quiet vocals bring very little in the way of emotion or captivating anything. And you know what? I used to think the best thing about living in 2014 is that I don't have to listen to songs anymore on the radio about people named Johnny or Mary or some other kind of musical Jane Doe that I'm instantly supposed to relate to merely because their name is so common. But nope. I was wrong. And as long as I'm complaining, I might as well talk about the intro to this LP. Not the introductory track, which is actually stellar. No, but the song that comes right after it, Leisure Suit PREBEN, which seems like an intentionally cheesy piece of synth jazz that just merely imitates the elevator music model. How is this song not just elevator music? Please explain. Yeah, for sure. In the second half, it does all of a sudden evolve into a very tense synth odyssey, but even that isn't really enough to pick up the song and save it from what is just a really boring first half. Of all the things to emulate, why this? I mean, songs like this are the reason that people started to tune out of this kind of music. And while a lot of other songs on this LP have really good grooves, some of them are tagged onto really mild jams where there isn't much in the way of a melody or a bass line that's all that sticky, like DeLorean Dynamite or Swing Star Part 2, or even the closer on here, Inspector Norse, which is a pretty quirky track. It has a fun, very playful groove, really kind of calls back to novelty electronic music tracks like the Popcorn song in a way, with just how cutesy and herky and jerky the groove and the overall vibe of the music is. But this track should have come much earlier in the track listing of this LP, especially since the predecessor of this song, Oh Joy, would have made for a really climactic finish. It feels like Todd wrote a really amazing ending for this record and then put a really kind of silly tongue-in-cheek epilogue right at the finish. I know I'm mentioning a lot of things on this LP that I don't really care for, but I do dig a majority of the tracks off this record that feature top-notch grooves with stellar bass lines and some great synth playing over it, whether it be some piano chords or a melody or even a solo, like PREBEN Goes to ACAPLUCO, or even the song STRANDBAR, which starts off like a really exotic piece of funk music. But once the drums and the bass line hits, it instantly becomes a really killer piece of house music with an extreme attention to detail with the instrumentation, really taking care to make sure that everything sounds like it's live instrumentation or it's happening in the moment. This is an amazingly well-assembled track, and I really get sucked into the momentum of the song. And then maybe the two biggest surprises on this entire record, SYNTH and ALFONSO, two really speedy, nimble, fantastic pieces of Latin-flavored jazz fusion. If there is anything that Todd dabbles in on this record that I wish would make a comeback, it's stuff like this. These two songs stand out as being some of the most fun I've had on the entire record. Sticky melodies, fast pace, well-executed grooves, and the drumming on the ALFONSO track is amazing. If you only listen to two songs from this entire record, make it these. And then there is the previously mentioned song Oh Joy, which again would have made an amazing finisher for this record. It's the most triumphant song on the entire LP. It's constantly escalating in the first half, and then once the drums kick in, the track really just rockets off with walls of synthesizer strings and some really well-layered percussion. You know, I hate to make another comparison to Random Access Memories, but it really is like the Contact of the record. Overall, its album time is not a bad LP. It occasionally drowns in its influences. It delivers a lot of tracks that pale in comparison to others. And the record really drags on longer than it needs to because it just does not deliver, I think, 60 minutes worth of ideas. But if you're really going to be into this particular nostalgia trip, I could see this being one of your favorite records of the year. I could see you really getting into this LP. I think this LP is worth checking out. But me personally, I'm feeling a decent to strong 6. Transition, if you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Todd, forever.